Hello, my beautiful buds. Oh my gosh, that's my first sip of my latte this morning. I mean, it's a latte because we have an espresso machine, which that's a great investment that I highly recommend if you're able to. Ours we got as a wedding gift, and it's one of my favorite wedding gifts, and I use it multiple times a day. But anyway, that's beside the point. I figured this little mug would be a fun little mug. I got it from this Down to Earth garden center. Anyways, that was a complete and utter tangent. I've sort of reached the point in my plant journey where I want to be more careful with the plants that I'm bringing in, but also I want to have fun with experimenting with new plants and different plants. Well, I kind of did some plant shopping this month. I wasn't necessarily planning on it. Gosh, like, these things just happen. But I had two specific plant shopping trips. The first one, I went to my local garden center nursery that's like 10 minutes from my house, just because I needed to be somewhere warm. So I went there after work, and their plants were 25% off. So I was like, well, I can't say no to that. And there were a few plants there that I had been eyeing for a while, so I decided to just jump on it. The plants I got from there, because they're 25% off, are primarily more experimental plants, so you'll know what I mean when I talk about them. So that's like the first category. The second category, I don't know if you guys have stuck around or happened to watch my first YouTube video ever, which, I mean, please don't if you haven't seen it. It's so, I was learning, you know, and I'm still learning a lot. I'm only on like my 20-something-ish video, but I've learned a lot in those 20-something-ish videos. My very first video, I did a kind of plant shopping at Groovy Plants Ranch back in September. It's kind of a drive from us, but it is in Ohio. And I mean, it's probably one of the best nurseries that I've ever been to, and I was really curious to see how they set it up for the winter, and I was very, very impressed. Like, they were super creative. Basically, it's an awesome nursery with a really fun selection, really, really friendly people. There were 2 Australian shepherds there that ran up to us and just smothered us with love, and I could have cried because I love Australian shepherds. So yeah, my mother-in-law and I both had rewards at Groovy Plants Ranch left over from the last time that we went, so we figured we'd go use them up. Oh, my husband is calling. 1 second. Ooh, I mean, I would never say no. Yeah, the chai or the matcha, I like that. Love you, bye. Well, that's my husband, and he wants to pick up Starbucks, so that's really sweet of him. Okay, we went to Groovy Plants Ranch, and I mean, I splurged a little bit. So let's just say that, you know, my mother-in-law graciously actually gave me all of her rewards, which was so nice. Let's just say that I got another $30 in rewards to spend there probably this summer if we make a trip down there. But yeah. So yeah, there are also 2 other plants that I did not purchase for myself, but they were gifts. So yeah, this intro is entirely too long. Oh my gosh. Let's just get into the video. I was not planning on filming this long. Let me share the newest plants that I have added to my collection. Okay, let's finally just talk about the first plant that I got. Okay, this was from my, you know, the next several plants are just from my visit to my local nursery, and they were 25% off, so I got some more experimental things, and I'm gonna have to set my coffee down. Oh, just one last sip. Okay. I better not knock that thing down. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is a peperomia, and I think this is my 3rd peperomia, so this is definitely experimental. I don't really know what the heck I'm doing. I kind of do, and I've looked it up, but like, I just don't have as much experience with peperomias. Honestly, in my experience, I just set them in a place that doesn't have direct sunlight and water them when they start to droop a little bit, and they just kind of live. So I don't really know what I'm doing, but they've lived so far just fine. So I hope I'm doing well. But okay, so this is it was labeled as Peperomia red log. I looked it up and I think it's like Peperomia verticulata. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but it's something along those lines. Again, I'm not very familiar with Peperomia, but I actually was really attracted to this one. I've seen it multiple times, but for some reason, this specific time, it really stood out to me. And look, ready? This is my favorite part. 1, 2, 3. Wow. Okay, that's so fun. I absolutely love the red backs to the leaves because, as you guys know, that's one of my favorite characteristics in a plant, is if it has a red or a purple back to the leaves. I just think it's absolutely stunning. So yeah, I'm quite happy with this purchase. He's just sitting in my kitchen for now. If you have any care tips, feel free to leave them. He was very cheap, something like $5. You know, that's kind of fun to get a plant for once that is very affordable. Peperomia red log or verticillata, whatever you want to call it. The next plant that I got from that trip, this is a Hoya pubicalyx, and I think it's the Royal Hawaiian Purple cultivar or variety or whatever. It's not actually planted in this pot, but it's way too top heavy. I don't know, here, let me show you. It's actually in a very, very tiny nursery pot because that's all its root systems can really handle, but it's resting in this terracotta pot because it's very top heavy and it would just come right out of its pot if it were just standing alone. That's what that is. I did repot this guy because there was a plug kind of suffocating its roots and the soil seemed really compact. So yeah, it was not great, but I was particularly attracted to this plant because, I'm just trying to get it to focus, because look at that. The splashes on there are definitively like a purpley pink color. And of course, you know, these newer leaves are coming in a very deep purple. Overall, I think this plant has a lot of potential if I can manage to get it to grow for me. It does have a lot of new growth already coming in that it came with. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about this plant and the potential that's there because I have like a regular Hoya pubicalyx splash right here. I don't know. I don't feel like pulling that down because I don't want to ruin anything that's going on over there. But yeah, so that one's fairly pretty, fairly full, still getting there, but I'm excited to see where this one goes. All right, this next one is another Hoya, and it was in the same area as that Hoya pubicalyx Royal Hawaiian Purple, right? Yes. So it was in that same area, and all of those Hoyas were like $7.99 for these little 2-inch plug things. And there was one of these, and mind you, all of these Hoyas looked absolutely miserable. So I was kind of taking a chance, but I mean, I was getting 25% off. So yeah, you've already seen it. It's this little baby Hoya linearis. Oh, isn't that precious? Oh my gosh. And I went ahead and potted him up in this tiny little terracotta pot very, very carefully because I know Hoya linearis, their roots, Hoya in general, they tend to be pretty finicky about their roots. But again, the mix that he was in was completely compact and wet and like waterlogged and just did not drain. So I had to switch him over to a better soil. I went with De La Tanks as usual, but oh my gosh. I love how cute he is. He's already pushing out some new growth for me, which is unusual because usually Hoya take a long time to acclimate to my home, at least a few months before they start doing anything. But this guy started growing within the first 2 weeks that I got him. So that's pretty great. As you can see, he's very, very tiny. I'm actually thinking about doing a little video on the growth progress on this guy, like over the course of the next year, maybe, like a really long process video. So if you're interested in seeing that, let me know. I'll just show you my entire experience, just kind of documenting what it's like growing a Hoya from this little bit to a full pot over the course of chopping and propping and repotting and all of that. So that's what I'm hoping to do. And then one other thing, admittedly, Hoya linearis is one of those plants that I didn't like when I first saw it online. I saw all these people raving about it and I did not understand. I just didn't like the look of it. To be fair, at that point, my comfort zone was mainly stuff like pothos and hardly philodendron and monstera, so Hoya were very much outside of my comfort zone. But my mind changed when I saw a really big pot of this in person, and it just looked like a waterfall of green. I'm like getting chills talking about it. And I was just like, okay, I think I get it. I think I get it and I want one. But I wasn't willing to break the bank at that point, and I hadn't seen another Hoya linearis in person since, until I saw this little guy. So we're starting from scratch. It's gonna be a journey, but it's gonna be really fun. All right. I just needed a break for another sip, and we can move on. Okay, the last plant that I got for 25% off at my local garden center, I was very unsure about, but I decided to go for it because it was 25% off and I want to try it again. Here it is. It happens to be a variegated string of pearls, and a lot of these pearls seem to be smaller, so we'll see if I can correct that or not, but it's quite the beauty. I know there's an ongoing joke. Who did that? Like Nick? There's another plant YouTuber that makes a joke about them looking like wasabi peas, which he's not wrong. I personally think it's still endearing. So I went ahead and picked this up. You need a water? I think you need a water. I'm trying to get better at this because some of these little pearls on top are getting wrinkly. I'm learning. Historically, string of pearls and I have not gotten along. We've tried it 2 other times in the past. It was not the variegated string of pearls, but they were just tiny, I think they were just 4-inch pots of string of pearls. And this was back when I mainly collected succulents, and string of pearls was all the rage in the succulent world. And it was all I wanted was just a beautiful cascade of green pea-like spheres in my dorm room, just gracing the window. Usually they just, it did not work out. I held on for a long time and it was clear that nothing was gonna come from them, so I had to chuck them both. You know, there were 2 separate times, you know. And there was a period of time where one of my string of pearls, the second one that I got, actually went strong for a good 6 months before, I don't know what I did to kill it, but I killed it. I think my cats also played a part because they liked to snap off the little strings and play with them, so I don't think that helped. I kept this one in my attic, I think, and I found a strand in my kitchen with little claw marks in it. Maybe owning kittens and a string of pearls isn't a very good combination. But my cats are no longer kittens. They are fully grown cats. They have a little bit more restraint. They only touch my plants if they have a vendetta against me, or so it seems. So yeah, I'm gonna try again. I do have a lot more experience under my belt as a plant parent. It's been about a year at least, maybe even a year and a half since I've owned a string of hearts, or a string of pearls. I really hope I haven't been saying string of hearts this entire time. Okay, so the next several plants were from Groovy Plants Ranch, and this is the first one. I actually potted this plant up at Groovy Plants Ranch because they have a little potting station, and I thought that might be fun to do for just one plant. So yeah, this little pot I also got from them. Super cute. Oh my goodness. But yeah, this is a Hoya macrophylla albomarginata, although I've also heard that that's a mistake and it should be Hoya latifolia. But I truly, I know, about this much about Hoyas. I know how to take care of them generally. I know how to propagate them. I know, based on my own personal experience, but there are so many Hoyas out there and so many like numbered ones that's a little bit intimidating actually. So I know about the popular Hoyas, but the fringe Hoyas, don't ask me questions about those because I have no idea. Anyways, so these leaves are so pretty. Oh my goodness. And it's got this long runner that will probably eventually produce leaves, I'm hoping. That's happened with some of my other Hoya in the past, so, or I can chop this and propagate it. I don't know. I have a few options. I'm just very attracted to this veining on the leaf, and of course this marginal variegation. It's honestly a really beautiful Hoya, and I got this, I think, for a really good deal. It was like $11.99, which in the past I feel like these were more expensive. I could be wrong because I wasn't really collecting them at the time, but I remember seeing them around and they were pricier than that. So you'll have to let me know. And I think that it complements the pot very well. Gosh. I have a lot of phlegm in my throat for some reason. So this next plant, I think is the 4th Hoya that I've gotten in this haul, or you know, collective plant haul or whatever. If you couldn't tell, I'm really experimenting a lot with Hoyas recently. I find it really fun. I think ever since my Hoya Crimson Princess and Crimson Queen started putting out a bunch of new growth, I got really inspired and wanted to get more of them. So this is my Hoya Mathilde. Wow, okay. I've heard that this Hoya is a really good grower, and so far that seems to be the case. You can see. Yes, yes. Hello, new growth. I welcome it. So I'm quite excited about this one. I have a trellis that I've been wanting to put a Hoya onto, but I couldn't decide which one. But then when I saw this one, I was like, that's the one. I'm gonna trellis this Hoya eventually once I repot her into a slightly bigger situation, just because there isn't really space for a trellis in here. I'm gonna wait a while, give her time to acclimate. But yeah, this is definitely the most expensive Hoya that I own at this point. I've never really invested much into Hoyas, but this was somewhere in the realm of $60, which I know it's expensive, but gosh, it's beautiful. I believe this is a cross between the Hoya serpens and the Hoya carnosa. So it's got those little coin-like leaves of the serpens, but maybe the more robust nature of the carnosa. So I feel like it's a if I were to start out with a fairly uncommon to rare Hoya, this is probably the best option from my understanding, at least. So yeah, you'll have to let me know how this Hoya goes for you if you own it, but I'm very excited about it. I think it's beautiful. It's so beautiful, and I'm kind of anticipating that it'll keep growing and get really big, and I'm very happy with it. All right, this next one. So I did not expect to fall in love with this plant as much as I have. It's quickly become one of my favorite plants, and I just did not at all expect it. And this is a rickrack cactus, or I think sometimes people call it a fishbone cactus, and to my understanding, it is a kind of jungle cactus. And wow, I mean, I have a friend that has this, and I'd seen pictures of hers, but I'd never actually felt it or anything. And this is one of my favorite textures I've ever felt on a plant before. Let me tell you, I don't know if that's weird, but it feels almost soft and supple and rubbery, and it's so fun and funky, and it's just a little pop, and I absolutely love it in this terracotta pot. And the green is very, very vibrant. So I'm very excited about this guy. I went to Groovy Plants Ranch not at all expecting to pick up one of these, but I saw them in person and I absolutely fell in love with it. So I'm very, very happy with this plant. It's so fun and funky and just, I don't know, it's very unique. So that's great. Normally, I don't think I really like cactus all that much. And I know this isn't a traditional cactus, this is a jungle cactus, but I haven't preferred them because I like to touch my plants. And obviously most cacti are not favorable towards you touching them. Suffice it to say, I'm glad that this one doesn't have spines. And there are some other cacti that I have my eyes on, like the monkey tail cactus, just because it seems to be a lot softer and I like the look of it as well. So if you have any cactus recommendations, let me know, because I prefer the ones that don't have a lot of spines, which, I mean, I know pokey pokies are one of the main characteristics of a cactus, but I want cacti, just not ones that poke me and make me hurt. Okay, this last plant from Groovy Plants Ranch is kind of the star of the show because this has been a wish list plant of mine for a very long time, and I am pleased to let you know that I am now the proud owner of a philodendron Florida ghost. Now, this was the one plant that definitely kind of broke the bank this time around, but thankfully I had those rewards, so it kind of, you know, it dampened the cost a little bit, which I'm thankful for. But wow, look at that. And it's got two growths coming in, so it's got this on this side. It looks like there's technically two plants in here, or like two main stems. So we've got a growth point coming in right here, and this is the newest leaf right there. Please focus, please. Ah, there we go. Okay, so yeah, oh, and it looks like, so this leaf hasn't even unfurled yet, and there's like another, I'm terrified of dropping this. There's another little growth poking out right there, I think. So I have a philodendron Florida ghost. I honestly toyed around with getting a philodendron, just a Florida green philodendron, and I still might, because I also really like the look of that plant, and I don't know, the name of it really attracts me to the plant too, because I'm from Florida and it just reminds me of home, and the leaves and the lobed leaves on these remind me of alligators, which is kind of funny and also reminiscent of home. And I don't know, I absolutely love this plant. I love that the petioles right here on these new leaves are red and bumpy, and I love the growth habit of it. I love that the leaves come in white or light green. I think it's so cool. And so maybe someday I'll own a Florida Beauty and a Florida Green and kind of complete a trifecta. Honestly, there was also a Florida Bronze there, which was my first time seeing one in person, and I also really like that. So I don't know, maybe someday I'll have all of the Florida philodendron, because I really like them and they remind me of home, and I just think it's really fun. So this is the first of them. We've moved on from Groovy Plants Ranch territory, and now, oh gosh, fungus nut again. Okay, yes, I got him, bro. Let's go. This was a gift from a friend. It's kind of a late Christmas gift, but I'm actually really, really impressed with what he managed to find. And it is this, okay, seeing on camera makes me even more happy. Maranta Leucanora lemon lime, or lemon lime Maranta, whatever you want to call it. And oh my gosh, he's gorgeous. Just wow. Okay, I've been looking for one of these for a really long time. I love Marantas. I have a red Maranta, and I also have like the green Maranta that's like a Maranta Kirchoviana or something like that. They're beautiful. I've been wanting to continue to add to my little Maranta collection, and now I finally have this gorgeous lemon lime Maranta. I love it so much, and this is such a beautiful specimen of it. Like, do you see that? Do you see that? Wow. Okay, and I did end up potting it up in this beautiful ivy main pot, because I just saw them together and I was like, all right, you're going in that. It was the perfect fit. I'm really impressed that he managed to find this, because I have been looking for one of these, like not super ferociously, but I've been looking, you know, quite a bit, checking big box stores, checking my local garden centers and stuff like that. And I feel like they shouldn't be that uncommon or hard to find, but I never find these guys. I've only found them a couple of times, and they were just absolutely pestering them with spider mites or mealybugs or something, and I was just like, it's not worth it to get it. I'm willing to wait, and I'm glad that I did because he found an incredible one. It doesn't have any spider mite damage that I can see, or it's very minimal. It doesn't have any spider mites as new growth coming in, and it's just, wow. I'm so impressed. So if you're watching this, friend, I'm really proud of you. Okay, and the last plant was also a gift of sorts, and I'm gonna have to pick you up and take you with me because I'm not in a place where I can bring it to you. Let me just prepare you, okay? So it is a philodendron green Congo that was divided out of my mother-in-law's gigantic philodendron green Congo, and it was a plant that hadn't been repotted in 4 years, and it needed some TLC basically. So that was a project that my mother-in-law and I did like last week, and it was super, super fun. We repotted it into this beautiful pot with some fresh soil. It's gonna be really happy and that nice little mixture. But my mother-in-law so graciously gifted me a piece of that plant, and really there were like 4 or 5 plants kind of in that pot, and basically I took one of them that had a root system already. The one caveat is that it has grown very awkwardly because it was like at the top of the stairs, so it was growing down towards the light. Yeah, let me show you. Okay, so this is what you do when you have to just kind of make do with what you have on hand. So this plant desperately needed support and like braces because without these 2 bamboo sticks and the plant Velcro and all of this mess, this would just be completely slouched over. Like this piece is just on the edge of the pot. So I'm hoping to gradually train it a little bit more upwards and eventually add a more robust support for it. But for now, you know, the bamboo stakes by themselves were not enough to hold the plant up at all. So I had to resort to doing this. So it looks a little bit funky, but you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Let me show you these leaves because, yeah, philodendron green Congo, or I believe it's a philodendron green Congo. She didn't actually really have an ID on it, but I assumed, I mean, it looks very much like a mature red Congo. This plant is very, very mature, by the way, if that wasn't clear enough. But yeah, oh my gosh. These leaves are so big and beautiful, like, ooh, baby. So yeah, I'm very excited about this plant. I don't really know where to put it. This is not a permanent solution by any means, but I'm just kind of making do for now until it can kind of correct itself a little bit. So yeah, if you have any suggestions, please feel free. I would love to buy supplies to really invest in this plant, help this plant out. Obviously, some of these leaves are in rougher shape just because of the shock. It had been in the same pot for 4 years with its brethren, and it was ripped from its home. So yeah, some of these leaves are a little bit stressed out, but a lot of them are still gorgeous. So I'm very, very excited to see what becomes of this plant. That was actually significantly more involved than I expected it to be. Sometimes I sit down to film and I'm like, okay, I have nothing to say, and it's just gonna be like 10 minutes and it's gonna be boring and weird, but then once I start talking about plants, I just kind of can't stop. So oop. I don't know what that was. What was in my coffee? Ew. Ew. That was disgusting. Okay. Like, okay. My coffee is cold now, and that just happened. So, ew, that was the worst texture. I think because it was hot and it had like half and half and milk in it, and then it got a lot colder because I had it on the floor and it's cold. It just like congealed and solidified. And that was so disgusting. Oh my gosh. But you're with me to witness it. Anyways, but that was a lot of plants that I've just added to my collection. holy crap. I'm kind of taking a similar approach that I do to my wardrobe and my closet as I do with my plants, where it's like, if I bring some plants in, you know, I have a lot of extra plants or plants, you know, they're duplicates, or I don't love them as much and they're just kind of there because they were from early on in my plant journey and I don't have as much attachment to them. So I might end up giving some of those away, passing them along to my friends that want to get into caring for plants, stuff like that. So I am considering that. Well, I'm gonna pop this coffee in the microwave, which is a little bit gross, but also it's my life as a mother. If you know, you know. So if you liked this video, please feel free to comment and like it, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. It means a lot to me. I love growing this little planty community that we have. But I guess other than that, see you later. I hope that you have a wonderful and blessed day. Bye-bye.